Have you ever stopped to think about what really exists beyond the curtain of reality? What our eyes see, is that all there is? Or are there portals, passages, parallel dimensions waiting for just the right moment to reveal themselves? The story we're about to tell today challenges everything you believe about the nature of reality. It's about an ordinary man, a raider, searching for inspiration, who discovered that some doors should never be opened, that some veils should never be crossed. John thought he was just escaping the chaos of the big city. He didn't know he was heading straight into something much worse. Something ancient. Something hungry. Prepare yourselves, because what you're about to hear will change the way you look at a simple storm. And perhaps you'll never be able to look at rain the same way again.
John Miller is 38 years old, a writer, or at least that's what his book covers say. For the past 6 months, the words have stopped coming. The blank page mocks him daily. His divorce became final 3 weeks ago. Sarah took the apartment, the furniture, and what was left of his confidence. He needs to escape. He needs inspiration. He needs silence. That's how John finds himself driving up a winding mountain road in North Ridge, 3 hours from any major city. The chalet appears at the end of a dirt path, surrounded by pine trees and absolute isolation. It's exactly what he was looking for. The structure is old, dark wood that has weathered decades of storms, small windows that seem to watch more than illuminate. The air smells of damp earth and something else, something older. Margaret Holloway, the owner, is waiting at the entrance. She must be 70, maybe 80 years old. Her eyes are cloudy but sharp. She hands him the keys with wrinkled, cold hands. "Everything you need is inside," she says in a voice that sounds like dry leaves. "Firewood in the shed, provisions in the pantry. Phone signal's weak, but it works." John takes the keys and smiles. "Perfect. That's exactly what I need. Peace and quiet." Margaret doesn't return the smile. She stares at him for a long moment, as if evaluating something he can't see. "One rule," she finally says. "During storms, keep the doors and windows locked. All of them. Don't open them for any reason." John laughs nervously. "Storm safety. Got it." "No." Her voice is firm now. "It's not about safety. It's about what comes with the rain. Just don't open the doors." She leaves before John can ask what that means. Her old pickup truck disappears down the dirt road, leaving him alone with the chalet and the mountains. The first 3 days pass in frustrating routine. John tries to write. He opens his laptop, stares at the blank page, types a few sentences, deletes them. The words feel dead, lifeless. The inspiration he came here to find remains elusive. He takes long walks through the mountains. The landscape is beautiful in a desolate way. Tall pines, granite rocks, absolute silence broken only by the wind. But there's something in that silence, something that feels wrong. At night, lying in the creaking bed, John hears sounds, distant singing, feminine voices carried by the wind through the mountains. They're too far away to make out words, but the melody is hypnotic, unsettling. He tells himself it's just the wind playing tricks in the rock formations. But deep down, he knows that's not true. The sounds seem to call him. They seem to know his name.
On the 4th day, everything changes. John wakes up to an oppressive silence, not the peaceful silence of the previous days, but something heavier, something wrong. He goes to the window and sees that the sky has turned black, not the gray of a normal storm, but an unnatural black, as if night had fallen in the middle of the afternoon. Dense, heavy clouds cover the mountains like a shroud. They move against the wind, swirling in patterns that make no meteorological sense. John feels a pressure in the air, a static electricity that makes the hair on his arms stand on end. His skin tingles, his teeth ache. Something is coming. He remembers Margaret's warning, "Don't open the doors during storms." It seemed like superstition then. Now, looking at those impossible clouds, it seems like survival. John goes through the entire chalet, checking every window, every lock. He closes the curtains, lights the fireplace, prepares as if for a siege. And maybe that's exactly what this is. The rain begins at 5 in the afternoon, but it doesn't start gradually. There are no warning drops. The sky simply opens up and water falls with apocalyptic fury. The sound is deafening, like thousands of drums beating on the chalet's roof. The windows rattle in their frames, the walls groan. The wind howls around the structure, and John swears he hears voices in that howl. Feminine voices, singing, calling. He's in the living room, trying to stay calm, when it happens. The front door explodes open. Not slowly, not pushed by the wind. It's ripped from its hinges violently, as if something had pulled it from outside with superhuman force. The door crashes against the inner wall, wood splintering. And John sees it. The rain doesn't fall vertically. It flows horizontally, like a liquid curtain inclined at an impossible angle. The water doesn't touch the ground. It flows through the air as if pulled by invisible gravity toward somewhere else, toward another place. It's like looking at a waterfall, but the waterfall is sideways. And beyond the water, John sees nothing, just darkness, a darkness that seems to pulse and breathe. He should run, should close the door, should do anything but what he's doing. But John can't move. He's paralyzed, staring at that impossible spectacle, at that curtain of water that shouldn't exist. You know what's most disturbing? It's not fear he feels. It's curiosity, a magnetic, irresistible attraction, as if something on the other side is calling him, as if he's always been destined to be here at this exact moment, looking at this portal. And then he sees them. At first, they're just shadows, vague forms moving within the curtain of rain. John blinks, thinking it's an optical illusion, a trick of light and water. But the forms become clearer. Silhouettes, feminine, naked bodies with slender limbs and fluid movements, dancing within the rain as if submerged in water. They're beautiful, impossibly beautiful. Their movements are hypnotic, sensual, inviting. John takes a step forward, then another. He knows he shouldn't. Every survival instinct in his body screams at him to run, but he can't. The attraction is too strong. One of the figures approaches the veil of water. John can see her more clearly now. A woman with pale skin that seems to glow from within. Large, dark eyes that fix on him with predatory intensity. Full lips that curve into a smile. Long black hair that floats around her as if she's underwater. They're beautiful, impossibly beautiful. Their movements are hypnotic, sensual, inviting. John takes a step forward, then another. He knows he shouldn't. Every survival instinct in his body screams at him to run, but he can't. The attraction is too strong. One of the figures approaches the veil of water. John can see her more clearly now, a woman with pale skin that seems to glow from within. Large, dark eyes that fix on him with predatory intensity. Full lips that curve into a smile. Long black hair that floats around her as if she's underwater. She's the most beautiful thing John has ever seen. She extends her hand toward him beyond the veil of water. Her fingers are long, delicate. She beckons him. Her lips move, forming words that John can't hear but somehow understands. Come. Come to us. Come.
Another figure appears beside her. This one is different. Her face is distorted, her mouth open in a silent scream, her eyes completely white. But even in her distortion, there's a terrible beauty. More figures crowd behind the veil. 6, 7, maybe more, all watching John, all wanting him. John knows with absolute certainty that if he crosses that curtain of water, he'll never return. Not as himself, not as human. But the curiosity is stronger than fear. The need to know is more powerful than the survival instinct. Have you ever wondered what drives someone to cross a threshold they know they shouldn't cross? Is it curiosity? Destiny? Or is it that something on the other side has already claimed them long before they made the decision? John extends his hand toward the veil of water. His fingers are inches away from the flowing curtain. He can feel the cold radiating from it. He can smell something sweet and rotten at the same time. The beautiful woman smiles wider, too wide, her mouth open, revealing teeth that are too pointed, too numerous. And then she strikes.
A hand shoots through the liquid curtain. Fingers that are too long, too pale, with black nails sharp as blades. They close around John's wrist with inhuman force. He feels bones grinding under that grip. He tries to pull back, tries to scream. But before any sound leaves his throat, he's yanked violently through the veil of water. The sensation is indescribable. It's like drowning and burning at the same time, like being torn apart and compressed. Every cell in John's body screams in agony. The water is everywhere, inside him, around him, crushing him. He can't breathe, can't think, can't exist. And then, suddenly, it stops. John falls hard onto a stone floor. The impact knocks the air from his lungs. He gasps desperately, coughing up water that tastes of sulfur and decay. His hands scrape against rough stone. His vision is blurred. Where is he? Slowly, agonizingly, John's vision clears. He's no longer in the chalet. He's in a cave, but not a natural cave. The walls are too smooth in some places, carved with symbols that hurt to look at. The ceiling disappears into darkness above. The air is thick, hot, humid. It smells of decomposition and something else, something primal and sexual that makes John's stomach turn. A pulsing green light emanates from the walls themselves, or rather, from something within the stone. Luminescent fungi or crystals, John can't tell. But the light is alive. It breathes. It watches. John struggles to his feet. His clothes are soaked and torn. His wrist throbs where the creature grabbed him. When he looks at it, he sees deep purple bruises in the shape of those too long fingers. He needs to understand where he is, needs to find an exit, needs to find a way back. But then he hears it. Laughter. Feminine laughter echoing through the depths of the cave. But there's nothing feminine about that sound. It's distorted, animalistic, hungry. The laughter multiplies. 2 voices, 3, 6, more. All around him, echoing off the stone walls until John can't tell where they're coming from. And then he sees them. They emerge from the shadows like nightmares made flesh. Women, or what were once women, perhaps what women become when all humanity is stripped away and only hunger remains. Their bodies are slender and impossibly pale, with translucent skin that reveals dark veins pulsing beneath. John can see their hearts beating in their chests, can see the black blood flowing through arteries that shouldn't be visible. Their faces are a grotesque mixture of beauty and horror. The bone structure is perfect, the features delicate, but their eyes are completely black, like pools of infinite darkness. Their mouths open too wide, revealing rows of pointed teeth stained with old blood. When they smile, their lips split at the corners, extending the grin beyond what should be possible. They move in ways that defy anatomy. They crawl along the walls and ceiling like spiders, their joints bending in wrong directions. They contort and twist, their bodies fluid and boneless. John counts 6 of them, but he feels more in the shadows, many more, watching, waiting, hungry. One of them, apparently the leader, descends from the ceiling and lands in front of John with feline grace. She's taller than the others, her body lean and muscled beneath that translucent skin. Her hair is long and black, but it moves independently, as if each strand is alive. She tilts her head, studying John with those empty black eyes. Then she speaks. Her voice is a hoarse whisper that seems to come from everywhere at once. "Fresh meat. It's been so long." The others hiss in agreement. They circle John slowly, like sharks around prey. Their movements are synchronized, predatory, calculated. John's heart pounds so hard he thinks it might burst from his chest. His breath comes in short, panicked gasps. His legs shake. Every instinct screams at him to run. So he runs. John bolts through the cave tunnels, running faster than he's ever run in his life. Behind him, he hears their shrieks of delight. They're not chasing him because they need to. They're chasing him because they want to. Because the hunt is part of the meal. He passes through narrow passages and into larger chambers, and what he sees will haunt him forever. Skeletons. Dozens of them. Piled in corners like discarded trash. Some are old, yellowed with age. Others are fresh, still with strips of meat clinging to bones. Human remains scattered carelessly, picked clean. On the walls, claw marks. Deep gouges in the stone, as if something had scratched at them in agony or ecstasy. John can't tell which is worse. Pools of blood, some dried and black, others still fresh and red. The metallic smell is overwhelming. And worse, much worse. In one chamber, John sees a human torso hanging from the ceiling by chains. It's been partially devoured. The ribs are exposed. The organs are missing. But the face still has an expression of absolute terror frozen in death. This place isn't just a cave. It's a slaughterhouse, a feeding ground. And John is the next meal. John bursts into a larger chamber and immediately stops. This room is different, ancient. There are remnants of campfires on the floor, primitive tools scattered around, scratched writings on the walls in languages John doesn't recognize. Other people have been here. Others have fought to survive. John grabs a piece of wood, charred on one end and sharpened on the other. It's not much, but it's something. A weapon. A chance. The succubi enter the chamber slowly. They know he's trapped. There's only one entrance, and they're blocking it. They fan out, forming a semicircle around him. Their movements are leisurely, savoring his fear. The leader steps forward. She's in no hurry. She runs her black tongue over those pointed teeth, and John sees that her tongue is forked at the end. "You can't run forever, meat. This is our world, our domain. You're already dead. You just don't know it yet." Another one laughs, a high-pitched sound that makes John's ears bleed. She drops from the ceiling and lands behind him, cutting off any retreat. They're playing with their food. But John notices something crucial. When one of them gets too close to the areas where the green light is most intense, she hisses and pulls back. They avoid the luminescent crystals in the walls. Light. They fear the light.
John positions himself near the largest cluster of glowing crystals. The succubi circle but don't approach. They're wary now, calculating. One of them, smaller and more impulsive than the others, lunges at him. John swings the sharpened wood with all his strength. The point catches her in the throat. The effect is immediate and horrifying. The creature's scream is inhuman. She stumbles back, clawing at the wood embedded in her neck. Black blood sprays from the wound, hissing where it hits the stone like acid. Her translucent skin begins to crack and peel, revealing something worse underneath. Something made of shadows and hunger. She falls to her knees, her body convulsing. Her mouth opens impossibly wide, and she begins to vomit. Not food, not blood. She vomits darkness. Pure, living darkness that writhes and screams. John watches in horror as her body collapses inward like a balloon deflating. The skin turns gray and brittle, the bones crack and splinter. Within seconds, all that remains is a desiccated husk and that pool of living darkness that slowly evaporates into smoke. The other succubi stare at the remains of their sister. For the first time, John sees something in those black eyes that might be fear. But fear makes predators more dangerous. The leader snarls, revealing all her teeth. "You'll suffer for that, meat. We'll take our time with you. We'll peel your skin slowly. We'll eat you piece by piece while you're still alive and screaming." Two of them attack simultaneously from different directions. John barely has time to react. He dodges the first, but the second rakes her claws across his chest. His shirt tears. His skin opens in 4 parallel lines of burning pain. Blood flows hot down his stomach. But John doesn't stop. He can't stop. He spins and drives the sharpened wood deep into the second attacker's chest, right where her heart should be. This death is different, slower, more agonizing. The succubus looks down at the wood protruding from her chest with what might be surprise. She touches it with trembling fingers. Then she looks up at John, and for a brief moment he sees something human in those black eyes. Pain. Real, raw, terrible pain. She opens her mouth to scream, but no sound comes out. Instead, her body begins to petrify. The translucent skin hardens, turning to stone. The transformation spreads from the wound outward, covering her arms, her torso, her face. Her expression freezes in an eternal, silent scream. Within moments, she's a statue, a grotesque sculpture of agony and death. Then she shatters. The stone body explodes into thousands of fragments that scatter across the chamber floor like lethal confetti. John is covered in stone dust and black blood. His chest burns, his muscles scream, but he's alive. He killed 2 of them. The remaining succubi shriek in rage. The leader's face distorts into something purely monstrous. All pretense of humanity or beauty evaporates. She's pure predator now, pure hunger, pure hate. Enough! Her voice shakes the walls. Stones fall from the ceiling. Tear him apart, now! They rush at him as one, 4 creatures moving with deadly intent. He knows he can't fight them all, can't kill them all. He needs to escape, needs to find the portal. And then he sees it, at the far end of the chamber, partially hidden behind rock formations. A curtain of water falling from a crack in the ceiling, exactly like the one that brought him here. The way home. John runs. He runs through the attacking succubi, taking hits, feeling claws tear into his back and arms. Blood flows hot down his stomach, but he doesn't stop, can't stop. He reaches the waterfall and throws himself through it without hesitation.
John falls hard onto the wooden floor of the chalet. The impact drives the air from his lungs. He gasps, coughing, his body convulsing with pain and shock. He's back. He's home. The front door is still open. The storm still rages outside. But now the rain falls normally, vertically, like rain should fall. John drags himself away from the door and slams it shut. His hands shake so badly he can barely turn the lock. When it finally clicks into place, he collapses against the door, sliding down to the floor. He's covered in blood, his clothes shredded. Deep claw marks score his chest, back, and arms. His wrist is purple and swollen where the creature first grabbed him. It was real. All of it was real. John crawls to the bathroom, leaving a trail of blood on the wooden floor. He pulls himself up using the sink and stares at his reflection in the mirror. He looks like he's been through a war. His face is pale, covered in cuts and bruises. His eyes are bloodshot and wild. The claw marks across his chest are deep, still bleeding. But then John notices something else. Something that makes his blood turn to ice. Around the corners of his mouth, there are stains. Dark red stains. Blood, but not his blood. And his fingernails, they're longer than before. Darker. The tips are sharp, almost pointed. John stares at his hands, trembling. When did that happen? He doesn't remember, can't remember. And then the memories come, but they're not his memories. He sees through someone else's eyes. A man who came to this chalet decades ago, a man with dark hair and a leather jacket. The man opens the door during a storm, sees the curtain of water, crosses through. He sees the cave, the succubi, the hunt. The man fights. The man kills one of them. The man finds the portal and returns. But he doesn't return alone. Something comes back with him. Something that enters through his wounds. Something that seeps into his blood and bones and mind. The man changes, slowly at first. His nails grow. His teeth sharpen. His hunger transforms into something darker, more primal. He begins to crave meat, raw meat, living meat. Within a week, he's no longer human. Not completely. He's something in between. Something cursed. And now that curse is in John. John looks back at the mirror and screams because for just a moment he doesn't see his reflection. He sees her, the leader, the tall succubus with the black hair. She's standing behind him in the mirror, even though the bathroom is empty. She smiles, that too wide smile that splits her face. "Welcome home, John. You're one of us now." Not yet, but soon, very soon. John blinks and she's gone. Just his reflection again. But his reflection is wrong. The eyes are darker. The teeth seem sharper. The hunger in his expression is unmistakable. He stumbles out of the bathroom and into the kitchen. He's starving, absolutely ravenous. He opens the refrigerator and sees the food Margaret left. Cheese, bread, vegetables, cooked meat. None of it appeals to him. In fact, it disgusts him. What John wants is something else, something raw, something warm, something that screams. He closes the refrigerator and backs away, horrified by his own thoughts. This isn't him. This isn't who he is. But is that true? Or is this who he's always been? Who he was always meant to become? Outside, the storm intensifies. Thunder shakes the chalet. Lightning illuminates the windows in brilliant flashes. And in those flashes, John sees them. The succubi standing outside the chalet, watching, waiting. They're not trying to get in. They don't need to, because John is already one of them. The transformation has begun, and there's no way to stop it. John collapses on the floor, curling into himself. He wants to cry, but can't. He wants to scream, but doesn't. Because deep down, in a place he doesn't want to acknowledge, Part of him is excited. Part of him wants the transformation, wants the power, wants the hunger. And that's the most terrifying thing of all. The storm rages on through the night. By morning, it will pass. The sun will rise. The mountains will be beautiful again. But John Miller will never be the same. The writer who came here looking for inspiration found something else entirely. He found a door that should never have been opened, a threshold that should never have been crossed. And now he's trapped on the wrong side. Not in the cave with the monsters, but in his own body, watching himself transform, watching himself become. The question isn't whether John will become a monster. The question is what he'll do when the transformation is complete. Will he fight it? Will he embrace it? Or will he do what the man in the leather jacket did decades ago? Will he lure another unsuspecting victim to this cursed place? Will he pass the curse along? You know what's most disturbing about this story? It's not the succubi in the cave. It's not the portal in the storm. It's not even the transformation. It's that John is still here, still in the chalet, still waiting. The next storm is only a matter of time.
And so ends the story of John Miller and the sinister storm. But you noticed the real horror, didn't you? It's not about the succubi or the cave. It's about what came back with him, about what he's becoming. Have you ever stopped to think how many people have passed through that chalet? How many portals like this exist around the world, hidden in storms, waiting for someone curious enough to cross? We want to know, do you think John will be able to resist the transformation? Or is he already lost? Leave your theories in the comments below, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. We have many more disturbing stories waiting for you. And don't forget to watch the next recommended video, where we explore another inexplicable case that'll make you question everything you know about reality.